A project house is a kind of storage for projects located under its so-called root, the path in the file system to the folder named Project House. The Caretaker is a program that creates and maintains this kind of project houses on your computer. It is open source, freely available, and runs on all major operating systems like Linux, Windows, and macOS. We will now show how to install and run it. Unfortunately, in its current version, the Caretaker is not a one-click installation, but it requires the use of the command line, also called terminal or shell. In Windows, this program is a command prompt or PowerShell, and when it is opened, you need to type a command. If you are not used to this command line input, just follow the next steps. Once everything is installed and running, you will hardly use it anymore. The whole Caretaker runs on Node.js, a program that itself is built on the V8 JavaScript engine of the Chrome browser. Node.js is also free and open source and has very easy installations for all major operating systems. Just go to the homepage on nodejs.org and follow the download and installation instructions. Now it is time to open the command line. This is my terminal on a Linux machine, and yours on Mac or Windows may look different, but the idea is always the same. For example, you can now input node -v and hit the return key. The word node is the main command for the Node.js program, and the added option -v means that you ask Node.js which version it is. In my case, it answers with version 5.8.0. If your answer is similar, maybe with a different version number, you know that your installation of Node.js was successful. Otherwise, you get a message that is telling you that Node is an unknown command and that something went wrong with the installation. Together with the installation of the Node command, you also install the npm command, that stands for Node Package Manager. This command lets you install other programs running on Node.js, written by other people and put online for you to download and use. You can check out these packages on the npmjs.org website. One of these packages is the one named Caretaker in a Project House. To install that, write npm install -g Caretaker in a Project House. The -g is an extra modifier to install, meaning that the package is installed globally, so that you can run it anywhere on your computer and not just in the current directory you are in. But they may also imply that running this command returns a complaint, saying that you don't have the rights to install things globally. You may need to confirm that you have administrator rights. One way to fix that in Linux is to put the prefix sudo for superuser do in front of the command. The terminal asks you for the password, and if your input is correct, the package is installed. You can check if the Caretaker command is implemented, for example by typing caretaker version, which should answer accordingly. So now the installation of the program is complete and we don't need to do that again. We do, however, need at least one project house to work with. Suppose I'd like to install the project house under a folder named Sandbox, where I play with new tools. We move into the Sandbox directory and then run the command caretaker init house. That creates a new folder named Project House under the Sandbox folder. This is the so-called root of the newly created Project House. Under this root, all projects are stored. We now have everything installed and created, and we can start the GUI server, the graphical user interface, that runs in the browser. I move into the Project House root and then call caretaker start server. It responds with a message that the GUI server is indeed running now and listens on port 55555, which is 5 times 5. our arbitrary default port number for this GUI. We keep it running in the background and now turn to a browser. The Caretaker GUI is actually a web server that runs on your own computer. So in order to talk to this server, point your browser to localhost, followed by a colon and the port number, which was 55555. Finish with a slash, start the query part with a question mark, and then write do equal home, which asks the server to display the home page. And that home page is then what you get. Note that you keep the server running in the terminal. Each time there is some new action in the browser, for example, if you look into the workshop or open the archive, an according log message appears in the terminal. The Caretaker button on the left always brings you back to the initial home page. And in the middle of the top line, you can see the root of the project house you are working on. Now, to stop the server from running, return to the terminal and press the key combination Ctrl-C. That terminates the GUI server and it will no longer work. Of course, you can restart it anytime. As a variation, it is possible to choose any port for the GUI server to listen to. But if it's not the default port number 55555, you need to specify that with an additional --port equals, followed by the port number. That way you can have several GUI servers simultaneously running on different project houses, all on the same machine. By default, open the GUI server by moving under the root of the project house and call Caretaker Start Server. But it is also possible to start the server from a different location. In that case, however, you need to specify the root with an additional --root equals, followed by the root path. Usually, and most of the time, you will do all project management in the browser, and you will hardly ever turn to the terminal. However, the Caretaker command has some more functions than creating a project house and starting the GUI server. You get an overview of these functions by calling Caretaker Help. All the options you see there are explained later on in due time. In future updates, the Caretaker program may have a more convenient way to do all this, so that we can avoid the use of the command line for the average user altogether. Anyway, once the GUI server is up and running, you can focus on the browser and do all your project management with mouse clicks.